Get off my land or I'm calling 911. Victoria shrieked from her yellow golf cart live streaming to 50,000 viewers. I didn't move, didn't speak, just took another bite of my sandwich. Eyes on the bobber, calm as the lake. "He's a trespasser, a threat," she screamed, already dialing. 3 squad cars showed up, sirens, guns, cameras rolling. She grinned. "Watch this, everyone." But then Chief Rodriguez stepped out. He glanced at me. I handed him a folder. He read 1 page, froze. His hands shook. His voice dropped. "Miss Victoria?" He said, eyes still on the paper. "You might want to stop live streaming." Confusion on her face, then panic. That's when her empire started crumbling. She thought she owned the lake. Turns out she'd been renting from me for 10 years. They say power runs in blood, but mine runs in silence. My name is Marcus Hayes. I'm 30. Quiet, patient. And I own this lake, every tree, every stone, every inch of water. Not through inheritance alone, but through foresight. My grandfather, Arthur Hayes, didn't just build this cabin, he built an empire. While others sold, he bought. While others panicked, he planned. But I didn't come back here for power. I came for peace. To fish where he once fished. To hear the wind, not the noise of lawsuits and boardrooms. That dock, he built it with his bare hands. I grew up watching the sunrise from its edge. This place isn't property, it's legacy. And that woman in the golf cart, screaming trespasser, she doesn't know whose land she's standing on. Not yet. But she will, very soon. She came in like a suburban storm heels clicking phone lifted high, ego even higher. Victoria Lancaster. 25, self-declared Queen of Silverwater Lake. HOA president, self-appointed savior, and full-time livestream junkie. Her blonde bob screamed manager tantrum. Her tennis skirt cost more than some people's mortgages. Every move she made was for the camera. Every sentence rehearsed, every outrage perfectly timed for her audience. "Good morning, my beautiful patriots," she chirped, panning her phone across the lake like she owned the air. "Just doing my HOA rounds, protecting our paradise from trespassers and troublemakers." Then her camera locked onto me. Her smile snapped. Her eyes lit up, not with fear, with content. "Oh my God," she gasped, phone zooming in. "We've got a live one." She didn't see a man fishing. She saw a target, and she was about to make the biggest mistake of her life. "Excuse me, sir," she barked, stepping off her golf cart like she was storming a battlefield. "You can't fish here. This is private Coleman land." I didn't look up, just reeled in slowly like her voice didn't exist. She stomped closer, her designer heels sinking slightly into the dock. "I am the HOA president of Silverwater Lake. My great-grandfather built this entire community." That's the thing about liars, they believe their own stories. Public records show the Colemans arrived in 1953. This cabin was deeded in 1952. Still, she puffed up, turning toward her camera like a performer hitting her mark. "He refuses to leave. This could get dangerous, folks. I'm scared. I'm really scared." Her voice was shrill. Her followers were eating it up. But I stayed still, because the more she spoke, the more she buried herself. And she didn't even realize she was trespassing on my land. "He's threatening me!" Victoria shrieked into her phone, flipping the camera to capture my back. "Look at him. He's aggressive, silent, suspicious. He won't leave. This is an emergency." She was performing for 50,000 live viewers, tears welling on cue, voice cracking with well-practiced fear. Her assistants gasped right on schedule. "I'm dialing 911, she announced like she just pulled a trigger. 3 minutes later, the sound of sirens cut through the still lake air. Red and blue lights danced across the water. 3 police cruisers skidded to a stop near the cabin. Victoria turned to her stream, smiling like it was prom night. "Justice is on its way," she whispered. "The system works." She didn't know those officers weren't coming to save her. They were walking into a trap. One she'd set herself and I'd planned months ago. Chief Rodriguez stepped out of his cruiser, already looking tired. Victoria, he sighed. "We've talked about this." She cut him off. "Arrest him right now. He's trespassing. I've got witnesses, 50,000 of them." Rodriguez turned to me. "Sir, can I see some ID?" I stood slowly calm as the dock under my feet. "Course, Chief. I've been expecting this." I handed him a thick leather folder, aged, worn, precise. He opened it. His eyes scanned the first page, then the second, then froze on the third. The silence grew heavy. Even the lake seemed to hold its breath. "This can't be," he muttered. Then louder, "This cabin predates the HOA by 40 years. Victoria blinked. "What are you talking about?" Rodriguez looked up pale. "Miss Victoria," he said carefully, "you might want to stop live streaming." And that's when her empire began to crack. This wasn't random. Victoria had been planning to take this lake long before I ever showed up. It started months ago, anonymous complaints filed against this cabin illegal structure zoning violations. Unpermitted dock. The county sent letters. My lawyer sent truth. Every claim fabricated. But the pressure kept building. Then came the fake petition allegedly signed by over 200 Silverwater residents demanding the eyesore be removed. Half the names didn't exist. The other half dead. She even leaked to local news. Suspicious squatter occupying valuable community land. And behind every headline, every rumor, was her flawless manicure and sweet HOA smile. She wanted this dock, this view, this power, but she didn't want to pay for it, because deep down Victoria knew she was just a tenant, and I was her landlord. She just hadn't figured that out yet, but she was about to. A week after the cops left, a thick envelope arrived, certified mail, official-looking seal, bold black letters, notice of eviction, by order of County Judge Blake Harrell. It looked legit. Language was precise formatting, flawless signature convincing. But I'd seen enough forged paperwork in boardrooms to smell something off. Richardson confirmed it within the hour. "There is no Judge Harrell in this district," he said, his voice dark. "And this seal, Photoshop." Victoria had crossed a legal line. This wasn't some HOA tantrum. This was fraud premeditated, executed with intent to deceive, backed by her live stream narrative. Unruly squatter refuses lawful orders. "We're taking back our land," she wanted me out without ever stepping foot in a courtroom. Because she knew, in a courtroom, truth matters, and she couldn't survive truth. That's when I realized this wasn't just about power. This was war, and I'd been preparing for years. It started just after midnight. A soft knock, then harder, then fists slamming the cabin door. I rose from my chair slowly, heart calm but alert. I knew this wasn't random. 3 shadows stood outside. Hooded, loud, drunk on rage. "Come out, squatter," one yelled. "This land ain't yours." They kicked the sidewall, ripped down the mailbox, smashed porch lights. One of them threw a brick through the front window glass, exploded across my grandfather's hardwood floor. From the tree line, a phone glowed. Victoria. She wasn't filming directly, but she was watching. Orchestrating. Like a mob boss in pearls. I called the sheriff. Response time, 26 minutes. The men vanished into the dark before the sirens came. No fingerprints, no names, just bruises on my shoulder and blood on the floor. Victoria never mentioned it on stream, but that night her donation total doubled. Coincidence? Not a chance. It happened 3 nights later. I stepped out to take out the trash routine, peaceful. The stars were out. The lake shimmered. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Fast. From both sides. 2 men in black rushed me, no warning, no words. Fists swung. I ducked the first, caught the second across the jaw. A third came from behind. Something heavy metal slammed into my ribs. I hit the ground hard, breath knocked out. Boots kicked my side, my spine, my shoulder. Through the blur, I saw one thing clearly, a phone recording from the shadows. Same angle, same glow. Victoria. Laughing. Watching. Feeding the algorithm. When they fled, I was left bleeding in the gravel. Sheriff Rodriguez stared at me in the ER. "She sent them," I said, voice raw. He didn't argue, just nodded slowly. "This isn't HOA beef anymore," he whispered. "This is criminal." And I wasn't done. Not even close. This war didn't start with Victoria. It started 30 years ago, with two men standing on this very dock, Arthur Hayes and Richard Coleman. Best friends, business partners, dreamers. They built Silverwater together. Until the crash. The recession hit. Richard borrowed $500 million from Arthur's company North Star Holdings to stay afloat. He used everything as collateral homes. Land future revenue. Then he defaulted. Arthur gave him time, offered mercy, lower interest, partial forgiveness. But Richard was too proud, too angry to accept help from a friend. Instead, he spread lies. Hayes stole our land. North Star is the enemy. When the foreclosure hit, the Colemans lost everything. Richard took his own life in the county courthouse bathroom. Victoria was 5. And she grew up believing one story that the Hayes family had destroyed hers. Now she wanted revenge. Not justice. Revenge. And I just became her target. Irony has a wicked sense of humor. While Victoria live-streamed about defending Coleman land, she was living in a house sitting on a 99-year land lease. A lease signed in 1993, with North Star Holdings, my family's company. She wasn't a queen, she was a tenant. Worse, an overdue one. Richardson pulled the ledger. 3 months behind, $6,000 a month. With late fees, $22,350. Ironic, he murmured. "She's trespassing on your land. While owing you rent. We didn't evict her, not yet. Because every day she stayed ranting, lying, posting, she was digging herself deeper, creating evidence, documenting her downfall, on her own dime. She held the megaphone. We held the deed. And soon the entire community would know Victoria wasn't protecting anything. She was squatting. And when the truth hits someone who's built their identity on lies, it doesn't break them. It detonates them. Days later, a petition landed on every doorstep in Silverwater. Remove the trespasser. Save our lake. Bold urgent dripping with righteous fury. Signed by over 300 residents. Or so it claimed. Some signatures were from people who'd moved away years ago. Others were dead. Victoria waved it like a war banner on her next live stream. Our community has spoken. We will not be intimidated. Behind her neighbors cheered some confused, most manipulated. She told them I was an invader, a fraud, a corporate puppet sent to seize their homes. Her hashtags trended. Hashtag Save Silverwater, hashtag Stop the Squatter, hashtag Coleman Legacy donations spiked. T-shirts printed. But truth doesn't care about T-shirts. We cross-referenced the signatures. At least 60% were fake. Another 20% coerced. Richardson laughed bitterly. She's not just breaking HOA rules now, she's flirting with wire fraud. Victoria wasn't fighting for the people, she was using them. And soon, they'd realize it. They wanted a public show, I gave them one. At the next HOA meeting, packed wall to wall with residents, whispers thick in the air, I stepped up. No camera crew, no theatrics, just a folder. I understand there's concern about my presence, I said calmly, laying down the documents. Let's clear that up. First, the 1952 deed to the cabin signed, sealed, notarized. Second, the original property map showing the lot predates the HOA by 41 years. Third, the county tax records, every payment made in full, every year. Silence fell. Even Victoria's fake smile twitched. This man is manipulating documents, she barked. Photoshop, old paper proves nothing. But the sheriff was there. He stepped forward, glanced at the seal, then nodded. These are real, all of it. Someone in the back whispered, Wait, then whose land is this really, and just like that? Doubt began to grow, the kind that doesn't go away. The next morning I woke to the sound of drills and shouting. Victoria had brought a construction crew to the edge of my cabin. A dozen workers, rolls of chain-link fencing, spools of razor wire. This is direct action, she declared on livestream, pacing in front of the camera like a general. He wants to hide behind papers. We build a wall. I stepped onto the porch, arms crossed. "You have a permit?" I asked one of the workers. He looked nervous. "She said the HOA approved it." "The HOA doesn't own this land," I replied. Victoria barked, "I am the HOA." And I say, "Build." The crew hesitated. A few stepped back. She screamed louder, "Build now, or you're fired. The fence went up. Fast." They fenced in my driveway, my dock, part of the woods. She was sealing off a property she didn't own, on camera. And that footage would be priceless later in court. At first, they cheered her on. Build the wall, protect the lake. But then, people started asking questions. Why was the HOA paying for razor wire? Why was a fence being built without permits? Why were donation funds used to rent a luxury SUV? Victoria was now driving. Screenshots leaked. Line items from the HOA budget: $7,800 for community security gear, $4,200 for marketing strategy consulting, $11,000 for staff uniforms from a luxury brand. She called it misinformation. Blamed me, of course. "I warned you," she said, pacing her patio like a prophet. "He's trying to divide us." But her voice cracked. The tone shifted. Comment sections once full of praise were now filled with doubt. Wait, is any of this true? Did she just fence off someone else's property? The crowd wasn't leaving her yet, but they weren't following as closely anymore, and that's where downfall begins. It was Sheriff Rodriguez who delivered the blow. During a town hall flooded with reporters and residents, he stepped to the mic and cleared his throat. After reviewing county records, he said, "We've confirmed that Ms. Victoria Lancaster's residence at 47 Silverwater Drive sits on leased land." Gasps echoed through the room. "She's been a tenant of North Star Holdings for 10 years. Pause. And currently owes $22,350 in unpaid rent penalties included." The silence was deafening. Victoria leapt from her seat. "This is a setup. Those records are fake. That land belongs to the Coleman family. My family." But no one moved. Screens lit up with property maps. Her address blinked red. Overdue. Delinquent. Comment sections turned brutal. "She's been screaming about our land while renting. Queen Victoria pays rent to the man she calls a trespasser." Her crown didn't fall. It disintegrated. Cornered Victoria did what cornered liars always do. She screamed louder. Within 48 hours, she launched a full-blown smear campaign. Local papers ran headlines like, "Who is Marcus Hayes' troubled heir?" or "Corporate enforcer sources say he once threatened a neighbor with a firearm." North Star linked to secret buyout deals, community at risk, all false, all planted. A new Twitter account popped up at Save Silverwater Truth, posting grainy photos of me walking fishing, stretching captioned, "Stalking behavior, loitering, intimidation." Clips of my quiet voice were chopped up and stitched into sinister edits. She even leaked an old college mugshot, a youthful trespassing charge. I was 19. Wrong place, wrong time. She turned it into a campaign, once a trespasser, always a trespasser. And some people believed it. But the truth was coming, and this time she couldn't delete it. While Victoria was busy spinning lies, we were building a wall of truth. Richardson, my family's lawyer, old school, sharp as a scalpel, met me at the Oak Ridge Financial Center. Top floor, private conference room, soundproof, one screen, one mission. He clicked the remote. A high-definition satellite map of Oak Ridge County came to life. Every building, every road, every power line. Time to show them, he said, who really owns what. We'd been compiling this for months: land deeds, lease contracts, tax records, utility ownerships, every grocery store, every gas station. Even the building where Victoria held her HOA meetings leased from North Star Holdings. I stared at the map, stunned even I hadn't realized the scope. 65% of the county Richardson said voice low but proud. All legal, all documented. We didn't need fake petitions. We had facts. And in 48 hours, we were going public with the truth. The Oak Ridge County building looked like a circus. 10 news vans lined the curb. Protesters waved signs. Save our lake stop, the corporate takeover. Victoria arrived in a convoy of golf carts flanked by her loyalists in matching shirts. She wore all white, high heels, American flag pinned to her collar, livestream on, microphone clipped. She strutted up the courthouse steps like Joan of Arc. "This is our Boston Tea Party," she declared to the camera. "The people will not be silenced." I arrived 10 minutes later. No crowd, no speech, just one black leather bag. Richardson walked beside me, calm and focused. "We don't need noise," he said. "We brought facts." Inside, the conference room was packed. Standing room only. Reporters, residents, county officials sweating under camera lights. Victoria took the floor first. But what she didn't know was that I had the floor last. And I came to finish this. When it was my turn, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Richardson opened the laptop. One click, one map, and the room stopped breathing. A high-resolution satellite view of Oak Ridge County lit up the projector. Then, one by one, the buildings turned blue. Oak Ridge Shopping Center, Oak Ridge General Hospital, 3 public schools, the water treatment plant. Click, click, click. With each turn, another property glowed blue, marked owned by North Star Holdings. Gasps, whispers, silence. And this building we're sitting in, Richardson said calmly, has been under lease to North Star for 15 years. The county pays us $1.2 million annually. Victoria stood frozen, smile cracking. "No," she whispered. "This is CGI. Fake. Propaganda." But the county clerk, pale sweating, stood up. "I just checked the lease agreement," he stammered. "It's real." No one cheered, no one spoke. They just stared at the screen, watching the truth spread like wildfire. While the map still glowed behind me, Richardson clicked again. A new screen appeared, Silverwater HOA Financials. Last 5 years. Line by line, the numbers appeared. $14, $300 Community Retreat Bahamas, Resort, $6. $800 Communications Equipment. 2 brand new iPhones, latest model, $9. $200 Transportation. Luxury SUV lease, $3,500 Staff training. Private yoga sessions in her backyard. Victoria's face turned red, then white. No, those were approved expenditures. "We all voted. No vote records exist," said the county auditor, stepping forward. "And the HOA bylaws you referenced, you rewrote them illegally." Screenshots lit up. Receipts, invoices, all with her signature. "She stole from us." Someone shouted. "I paid dues for that," another yelled. Even her loyal supporters started backing away. Her lips moved, but no sound came. The live stream stayed on, still broadcasting. And now even her viewers were turning. From cheers to silence. Then refund requests. Thousands of them. That night, Victoria went live again. No makeup, no filters, just raw fury. "They think they've won," she hissed into the camera, pacing under dim patio lights. "They want to humiliate me, strip me of everything my family built." She stopped, looked dead into the lens. "Well, guess what? No power, no control." She raised a blueprint, a printed map of Silverwater's substation. Red X's drawn over key nodes. "This is not terrorism," she said. "This is revolution." Her voice cracked half madness, half martyrdom. "Tomorrow night, 3:00 a.m. We cut the main line. We black out Silverwater. Then we renegotiate from a position of strength." Comments poured in. "Victoria, That's illegal. That's federal infrastructure. My dad's on oxygen. Please don't. But she didn't care, not anymore. She was no longer trying to win. She was trying to burn it all down. Victoria crept through the shadows like a wannabe vigilante phone in one hand, bolt cutters in the other. Night vision on, stream rolling, comments exploding. "We're live," she whispered, breathless with adrenaline. "For my family. For justice. For Coleman legacy." She reached the Silverwater substation fence. Snip. Chain link gave way. Inside, sparks danced in the dark. She approached the main panel, lips curled in manic triumph. "This is for all of you who believe." She yanked the first line. Crack. Light burst like fireworks, then died. Street by street, Silverwater went dark. Porch lights blinked out. Security alarms failed. Hospitals, elderly care homes, water pumps, all silenced. From across the lake, I watched my cabin remain lit, powered by my private grid. Her stream showed the glow in the distance. Then she screamed, "Why is he still on?" She wasn't liberating anyone. She was punishing them for seeing the truth. By sunrise, Silverwater looked like a disaster zone. No power, no water, no heat. Parents warmed baby formula over candles. Elderly residents gasped for air without oxygen machines. The community center overflowed with panic. Cries, flashlights, battery-powered radios hissing static. Someone played Victoria's live stream from hours before her, laughing, screaming, torching the substation. Then came the helicopters. FBI, National Grid, emergency response. Floodlights lit the lake like it was wartime. Rodriguez stood before the shaken crowd voice, grim. "This is no longer local. Victoria Lancaster is wanted for destruction of federal infrastructure. This is domestic terrorism." Gasps, screams, people shouting. "She did this to us." She called it justice. I stepped forward, calm but direct. "North Star will repair everything. No power bill increases, no blame to residents. But we need one thing first. Your help finding her." And in that moment, the people she manipulated became the ones who would bring her down. They found her where it all began. The old Coleman estate, abandoned for decades, vines climbing over shattered windows, once proud, now rotting. She had barricaded herself inside, live streaming to her final 12 viewers. "This is sacred land," she shrieked, hair-tangled face wild. "They want to erase me, but I will rise again. Coleman, land forever." The FBI megaphone cut through the morning fog. Victoria Lancaster exit the building with hands visible. Instead, she hurled a chair through the window. "They'll never take me alive," but they did. She tripped over a pile of dusty Coleman family portraits and fell face first into the floor. Cameras caught it all. She screamed about conspiracies, sovereign citizenship, and corporate lies as agents cuffed her. "Ma'am," the lead agent said, reading the charges, domestic terrorism. Wire fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion, and 3 outstanding warrants. The only thing louder than the charges was the silence of those who once worshipped her. The courtroom was packed. Former supporters, reporters, Silverwater residents, all waiting to witness the final chapter. Victoria sat at the defendant's table, no makeup wrists, cuffed orange jumpsuit swallowing her once regal posture. Gone were the pearls, the heels, the phones. Only a flickering arrogance remained. The judge read the verdicts, voice steady, deliberate. On the charge of domestic terrorism, guilty. Destruction of federal infrastructure, guilty. Embezzlement, tax fraud. HOA, fund misappropriation, guilty. Minimum sentence 20 years, no parole. Victoria stood shaking. I was protecting my heritage. This is political. This is revenge. The judge slammed the gavel. "Ms. Lancaster, you didn't protect a legacy. You destroyed lives." Then I was called to speak. I stood slowly, looking her in the eye. "I didn't want any of this. I came to fish. You came to conquer." I paused. Let the silence sting. Now, you can sit in the darkness you created. 3 days after the sentencing, we gathered in the Silverwater Community Center. No power suits, no live streams, just neighbors. Tired, hurt, ready for change. I stood at the front Richardson beside me holding a binder, not a camera. I know trust is broken, I began. And I know many of you paid the price for someone else's madness. Heads nodded, arms crossed, wounds still fresh. So, here's what we're doing. I laid it out. North Star would absorb the $4.7 million in repair costs. Utility rates frozen for 10 years. HOA dissolved. Replaced with professional management. All decisions voted democratically. Transparent. Audited. Someone raised a hand, cautious. And rent. No increase, I said. Not a cent. You've paid enough. The room exhaled. Tears, applause, relief. I didn't want to rule them. I wanted to restore them, and maybe, just maybe, turn Silverwater back into what it was always meant to be, a place to live. Not a battlefield. The lake was quiet again. I sat at the end of the dock, same spot my grandfather used to fish line in the water, the morning sun warming my back. Birdsong. Gentle waves. No sirens. No shouting. Just peace. My phone buzzed. A message from Richardson. She started this morning. Victoria. 10 years of custodial duty. Minimum wage. No social media. No audience. Assigned to clean the third-floor bathroom of the county courthouse, the same one where her grandfather ended it all. Someone sent me a photo. She wore a gray janitor's uniform. Hair pulled back. Eyes hollow. She paused at the memorial plaque outside the restroom, in memory of those lost to pride. They say karma doesn't rush. It arrives right on time. I cast my line again, watching the ripples fade. Finally, the lake was still, and so was I. Sometimes the quietest person in the room holds the deepest roots. This wasn't just about a lake. It was about legacy. About how pride, ignorance, and unchecked ego can destroy what generations built. Victoria thought the loudest voice was the strongest. But real power doesn't scream. It endures. It documents. It waits. Never underestimate someone just because they don't play your game. And never mistake a live stream for the truth. History can repeat itself, but it can also be rewritten by those willing to listen, learn, and lead differently. To those watching, maybe you've seen pieces of this story in your own life. A neighbor, a boss, a family wound that never healed. If this gave you something to think about, hit like. If you believe truth matters, subscribe. And if you've ever been underestimated, just remember, still waters run deep, and sometimes they own the whole damn lake.